safe image and some use cases, so it will be good. Okay. It will be good to have it just to see what we have. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Vladimir. How are you?
Yeah, hi, Sergey. Good. Preparing to show test finally. Compiling styles and everything, so I hope it will start working.
Yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. We are still kind of doing final checks on your PR, but we are working on it really closely, and I expect it to be merged soon. And your pull request is the beginning of all MFTF pull requests, I guess. So after your PR will be merged, we'll be able to merge all other as well.
Yeah, because every time I see somebody else merge request, there's like something which already exists in that one. And I don't know, like it's not because I made it, I don't want other people to do the same thing. It's just because that was the first test which I was updating. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good.
So I will check that it works and then let you know in the chat. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Just let me know when you are ready.
Okay.
Let's anyway wait a couple of more minutes because we might have more people that would like to join the call, right? I'm not sure. Will Elena be today? Do you know, Stas?
I lost. Give me a minute.
Hi, Christopher.
Hello.
Yes, thanks for your help with the bug identification.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it urged me to write up some more documentation that was missing. Also, I wanted to let you know that we finally merged changes internally to our SDK repo, so future pull requests should be a lot smoother. So I'll start working through the ones that are in there. So the way it works on our side is that we have an internal version of the same SDK, and it was slightly different, and I've made it the same as the public one. And what that allows is that when you guys submit pull requests, I then submit the same pull request to our internal repository, and one of our stock engineers can just do a code review and give some feedback. And if all is good there, then I go back to the public one and I can just approve it. So it'll make things a lot easier.
Yeah, that's great news. We actually today we reviewed the list of our issues, and yeah, we were thinking about a couple of pull requests that we have to SDK that should resolve a couple of our issues finally.
Sure.
Yeah.
One thing I will, one change I did make on it though is I added a set of styles for PHP Code Sniffer, and I don't know if you guys use this in any of your workflows, but some linting rules so that your code conforms to what we expect. In most cases, it does. I think it just I added that as another test to the package file or the composer file, so that you can run a linting test and it'll match our rule set. So that'll also make it easier to get things accepted on our side by our engineers because they're expecting things to be done in a certain way. So
yeah, that's a really good addition. I would say that we are using static tests on all our public repositories as well, because it really helps to keep the code in one style and readable, and also like ensures helps in maintaining code in lots of ways. So
Right.
yeah, it's definitely a must, and really good news that you have added it. It will help us to help contributors to understand that they are writing or formatting code correctly as well.
Yeah, so if for any of you who are working with the SDK, please pull down the latest version when you get a chance, because it has a few of those changes in there.
Okay, so do we have checks under the pull requests that will show us?
I think, I mean, there's no way I can automatically do it. So I think what we will ask is, and I've got to add these notes. I think what we'll ask is that you show the results of your linting and test results, and then so that when our engineers do a code review, they can just quickly look at it and see that everything's in order before they look at the actual code.
Okay, thanks.
But I'll write that up on the SDK, so you mean on the repo as part of the pull request. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. And that were great news and updates from Adobe SDK side. So we have more opportunities to improve the SDK as well now. I think we can start with a demo of our pull requests, our contributions that have been done since last weekly public meeting. And my usual question is, are there any volunteers to start the demonstration?
Maybe I can start.
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay, nice. 1 second. Yep. I think now you can see my screen, right? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So please confirm that you see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Yes, we are.
Okay, nice.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Nice, thanks. So I have some problems with an internet connection, but I'm worried about this. Okay, so let me introduce maybe the just alpha version of the safe image and safe asset data. I mean, just mostly safe asset data. When we try to save the preview image. So this pull request consists of some complex solutions and needs your help with decisions. But at this moment, what we have this beautiful download preview button. And when we press it, we start the save process. The save process, if it was successful, finish it with some notification like this. I took the ordinary Magento style and inserted here for every image. If the set will failed, we'll see the error notification. So also I added some just AJAX requests, yes, and we have some information like is it was successful or not, and some message. Okay, but this is what we have at the front end. At the backend side, I mean this in this database storage, we have asset information saved into our related Adobe Stock tables. Currently, we have media type, category ID, creator ID, and premium level introduced as an asset component. This can be shown. This can be seen in the pull request. Yes, and it works like this. So we get an image. If image successfully downloaded, physically downloaded to our storage, let me show that. Here we are. So we have this image downloaded successfully. Yes, we start the save process. Firstly, we save category, creator, media type, and premium level objects. Yes, so for example, we can just go to them and see that we have this information. We have some media type, we have premium level, we have category, we have creator information which we got from Adobe Stock, yes, by using API. Then we have the path some other assets related information. And yes, shortly speaking, that's all. About my pull requests, I introduce it in the next way. So firstly, we have just a simple controller which manage this download action, and then I extend it. I think inside that very just changes the asset model. So I edit some media type data, I mean repository, creator repository, and metadata models, category data metadata models, and I decided to create a safe premium view image asset strategy. So this class is not just an API, because just implementation can be easily changed, and we, I think, should not support it. But it consists of several steps. Firstly, we create needed component, category component, creator component, and others. Then we set needed data, I mean, foreign keys, yes, and safe asset repository. So basically, I think that this approach can give us more flexibility in the future for future changes, more control, easy writing tests, and the one thing maybe I would like to change here, of course, if this will be approved, to make this in one transaction. For example, if we failed somewhere in a media type asset component safe, we should just roll back category and maybe creator, something like that, to just have data consistent. Yep, maybe that's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, because just if I will continue to describe all this stuff, this will take a long time, and it will be so technically and not so. But if you have some questions, I'm ready to answer at any time you want.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Christopher. The data that you're getting back here, category creator or media type, which action is giving you this? Is it downloading of the preview? Is this coming in the JSON response? I don't run that one very often, so I just want to know where.
Okay, nice. We have an Adobe Stock Image module, which is responsible for such actions. So we have a get image endpoint, and this get image endpoint use our get image list functionality. We just ask Adobe Stock to get to return some data, asset data, and we just create API request. Yes, and get this information from the Adobe Stock.
Cool. I mean, that
So
information seems good.
Search API.
Sorry,
yeah, sorry, Christopher. We are using Search API to retrieve this information, like search files.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I mean, certainly I would only want you to write information in the database that is useful. And, and yeah, creator is a good one. Media type ID, that one's a little bit, that may not have a ton of use for you. I'm just trying to think. I mean, I'd say leave everything as it is right now. I think I would imagine we're only going to be pulling down photos at this time.
Yeah, for now, Christopher, for now, you're right. So we're talking about the photos. But what other types do we have there? Like, for instance, do we have any video content?
Yeah. So, right. So photos, videos. Well, also, we have a type called image, and I put image in quotes, because image could be, it actually could be photo, it could be vector, and it could also be something called illustration. An illustration is actually also a bitmap image. So that would be totally fine for for this implementation as well. Vector would not. While you could view the preview, well, actually, you wouldn't even, if you download the preview or if you download the asset, it'll come as a Illustrator file, and that's probably not going to do any good for Magento users because you can't directly use that. And then, of course, we have all these other asset types you would never want: templates, 3D, stuff like that. So, yeah, so probably the image types of photo and illustration and eventually video. So, yeah, I guess, yeah, so it makes sense to keep this flexible so we can add more types in the future. Premium level is another that one's also good. It's these features are a little bit obtuse. Like, you wouldn't look at them and be like, oh, I know exactly what that means. They're a little bit internal. But basically, that's saying whether it's a asset that requires like one credit or multiple credits to license. Usually that means a premium asset or something in a higher cost. So yeah, I need to take a look at some of these data models just to see if there's anything else that we'd want to add as well. But this looks good. I just wanted to talk about that briefly. So cool.
Thank you. Okay, so and again, just maybe with this approach, having some components we can easily include, exclude them, and not to load our repository pattern, which we use for linking service and domain levels. Maybe this will help us, but as much information we have is better because, for example, as you mentioned, it's possible to have some credits, several credits for one image. We can maybe build some, I don't know, sales rules and sales conditions using this information. Maybe it will be a good decision to have them in Magento.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I would like to say big thank you, Alex, because this was a big pull request. I believe like more than 50 files were updated and lots of functionality was introduced. As for technical details, I think we can discuss the approaches in the pull request, not to overload this meeting with technical details.
Yep, I totally agree with you.
Just one quick question that I have about the interface. There is a save preview button and download image button. Why did you decide to use the second button as well? To introduce a new button, because they look like the same operation.
Yes, I decided to add download preview button because when I checked how the save preview works, I see that it works like this. So I saw that save preview button inserts a direct URL to the image and something else.
Oh, okay. But we are going to merge this functionality, actually. We're going to save it first and then insert it to media gallery. So we can discuss it in the pull request as well. Yeah, we would like to have just one button there for saving preview. As for the data, yeah, thanks. And Christopher, as for the data that we are saving, the thing is that we are trying to develop our database with potential for future extensibility or any future needs and fix it so that we will not need to update it later. Some data we would be able to use for filtering, for example, some for showing some image-related attributes information on the detailed image view. And yeah, we are storing those attributes because like when reviewing saved images, we don't want to create a lot of requests to Adobe Stock API. The thing with premium level, I think Adobe Stock allows user to filter by like just open premium images only. Yeah. So we can try to use the same filter as well. And we can also use media type for filtering for the same purpose. But yeah, let's discuss, let's go maybe through all the fields. You can review our documentation. We have all the fields in that we are saving in the documentation, and later we can have a separate discussion about each of them.
Yeah, no,
decide
definitely.
what we can. Yeah, great. Thanks for your input, and thank you, Alex. Oh, okay. Let's switch to the next one. Raul, would you like to show us the documentation if we started talking about documentation? There were some recent updates to it.
Yeah, my contribution this week was not a pull request, but it was an improvement to the documentation. I'm going to share screen. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. There it is. I came to this because one of my colleagues was asking about this project and how to contribute, and then I redirect him to the documentation to get his local setup, and then he came back to me to ask some questions about the Adobe Stock API. So I thought, well, maybe it's not clear enough, and well, yeah, just add a little bit more of explanation and a couple of screen captures of the procedure to set up the Adobe Stock API, as well as the information in Magento. That was pretty much the my changes this week.
Okay, thanks, Raul. I would like to. So there were more changes to documentation as well. I would like to share my screen just here to show you that that our documentation our wiki page was reorganized a bit. There are no stories on the sidebar right now. So to find stories, you can go to roadmap and stories section, and then find all our stories with the use cases on this page. To use further links, we have a separate get started section that would be interesting for anybody who is starting to work this project. And one of the pages was just showed by Raul, who provided more details for installation guide. Implementation guide is included here, and project maintainers. Just contact me, Stas, or Raul if you have any questions or if you cannot find any information and documentation. We are always ready to help you. The general project overview documentation contains some general approaches like modules that we are developing, database structure, visual design is here. It was harder to find it in the previous documentation. Right now, just a list of all pages on Magento admin that we are updating, but the most interesting is UI prototype that you can open and navigate through all the designs that we have. Like I believe it wasn't so obvious before. And for detailed documentation can be found under technical designs and guidelines section. I think this section is kind of section that also open for additions as we go through development process and have more details in place. And actually how to connect us: weekly, public meeting, and Slack. That's it for documentation updates. And I know that Vladimir is ready to show us some functional tests. Magic, Vladimir?
Yeah. Okay, so I will start with screen sharing. you know, like install extension and everything.
So just while Vladimir's doing that, Sergey, I would like to separately. I'd like to have you and Stas. Maybe we can set up a meeting for you to meet with some of the architects on my team, so we can go over some of the things that we were just talking about just now. Because there are probably some other things we'll need to support in your data for licensing, but also they're just curious. I can't easily demo it, so I was thinking it'd be nice if you guys could do a quick demo. But we could talk about this offline. But now that we're getting really into the meat of things, I want to make sure that we are don't have any false steps. But
Yeah.
overall, I and all of us are really impressed with how quickly you guys are pulling this together and all the work that you guys are doing. So we really appreciate all of you contributors.
Yeah, definitely. We are impressed as well. So, and yeah, we will be ready to meet. I think it will be really helpful to discuss with Adobe Stock, to meet with the Adobe Stock team and discuss the things that we are doing. So let's schedule it offline.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vladimir.
Yeah,
Please
do
go
you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so there was already a test written, and at some point I found that there is a ticket to create this test, and I decided to update it and actually mark with the proper user story and everything like this. So first what I did was refactoring. So I believe by design, there are a few key things which must be done when you write MFTF test. So all of the selectors should be in sections. So basically, if you can have pages or parts of your pages, and you have to mark all of the items you're gonna use. So there is Adobe Stock section, and I'm trying to use nice selectors, so not like they should be meaningful, and in perfect scenario not be connected with like CSS or just with structure. So I try to use data UID if I can find something like this. So in many cases is not possible to add your own things. For example, for this panel, I think for the panel or for other, yeah, probably for modal. So it's automatically made by JavaScript, and you cannot add your like data role or test ID or anything. So for modal, I had to add extra class, and this was the only, I think I added it or I used the one which was already there. And if I can find the role or UID, I try to use it. So it will be uniquely identified, and it will be like, it will not have errors. Probably will have less errors than if you will just have classes and XPath or whatever. Also, there is already predefined sections and selectors that will show inside action group, probably. So there is action group, no, not this one, open search modal, and Let me find some. So there's, for example, media gallery section browse. It's a selector for a button, and tiny MCE section, again with insert image. And also I tried not to duplicate things. So, oh, wrong one. In the stock section, I have a modal selector and I have other. And inside action group, I use both of them. So if I know that search input should be only inside modal, I try to use this way. Yeah, so let's come back to the test. And one more thing is data. It's all like there are a lot of test data, like the things which you see on the screen. And we have it in modal data, for example, like a title. Oh, this is like a button text to open modal, this title of the modal, and also the amount of thumbnails we have. So I don't want to specify it every single time, and I don't want to hard code it. So if we change something, we can change it in one place, and hopefully it will work. Yeah, and in the perfect scenario, there shouldn't be any manual things in the test. There should be only action groups. Like action group is the something meaningful you do, and it also can be assertions you do, like you do. So in our case, there is a action group to open the model, search model. So we know that we're gonna use it in every test. So why not to combine everything and have one action group? Then we want to check the amount of items on the page. Even this one can be inside the previous, like if we want to check it every single time. In this case, we have it here. Maybe next time we'll do it. So we assert amount of images, then we assert the page number. By default is first. Then we click to the next page. Again, probably we're going to use it quite often. Then we again assert the same thing, that amount of the page, amount of the items. So we're already reusing the same thing in the same test. And then we assert the current page number. So I can just provide arguments inside if I have something we changed. And then we are checking that we can close the model. And yeah, so let's go deeper shortly. So action groups are just all of the steps we do with everything. So we can combine as many things as we want, but it shouldn't be too large if we think that we can use it again, like some of the parts. In this case, we assume that we will always open the model first. So there are like a lot of actions in the same action group. But there are other, like, let's check, assert current page number. So we just check the page number in the field. This is a good example to see that we use section from the core Magento, so we don't have to do it again. And if they will change it, Magento core team will change it, it will still work. And we have argument where we can provide the page number we want to see. Yeah, so, and when I opened the user story, I found that there should be authentication as well. So we need to enter our API key and private key, and we need to enter it before every test, and we have to remove it every single time. We do it using just config calls. Yeah, it's easy. We just set data. Okay, and since I explained everything, now I'm going to show how it works. So all of our tests are going to be inside one group, I believe. So we can just run tests from our group. There's a command to run. So we can just run a group and choose the one we want. Adobe Stock Integration. And when we open it, web browser will open as well as soon as test will start.
Okay, so it's just bin MFTF run group Adobe Stock Integration, right? And we
Yeah,
are able to test.
Yeah, I added it to README file. So there is a README file inside MFTF folder, which was there before, but empty. So I decided to add some useful things. So let's try to see both. So we see things running on the left side and the browser on the right. Have small screen.
It is configuration setup that is happening in backend right now, right?
Yeah. So now it started opening login page. It's also a requirement for all of the admin pages to log in and log out. So now we are in the open search model action group. So it goes through many things to open it. Yeah. And the good thing that we are not writing most of these things, most of the selectors. So, it's pretty easy. So we opened search, we check the amount of items, we click to the next page, we closed it. That's it. It works pretty fast when everything is pre-cached. I did static content deploy and DI compile because otherwise it can fail because of the timeout. I don't know, maybe I have a slow machine. Yeah, that's it. So it's fast. If we have more than one test, it will every single time it will close Chrome window and then open it again. So it will open up. Not very user friendly. I think that's it. If you have any questions, I can just give more information how to write tests if anybody interested, like some rules, or I think I spent already a lot of time.
I see that you completely refactored my first test ever. So yeah, it's divided to different action groups that we can reuse for every test, every next test. Yeah, a great job.
Yeah, thank you. I was not going to refactor it entirely, but then I started getting code review responses, and you cannot stop after.
Yeah, we had Yaroslav Ragaza, who also helped us with MFTF code reviews, so thanks him as well. But yeah, Vladimir, that's really great job. That's a very nice basis for functional testing of our project. And I just would like to add to your presentation that you have added Adobe Stock Image Admin UI test MFTF README file with instructions how to set up and run tests. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's it. So it will not work if you will not put environment variables inside that env. is the one. So if you will go to instruction how to use MFTF, the main one, maybe we need to add a link, I don't know. It will say, go to this file and add some important things like your URL and admin login and password. And these two environment variables should be added as well with your API key and private key. And that's it. So again.
Okay, thanks.
One thing, Vladimir, if you don't mind, I think I'm gonna ping you later in Slack and ask you for some help with the test I'm working with.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I will be happy to help, but don't ask me to code review because I will ask to change everything.
But that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I think we all share the desire to have this done the best way as possible. So I think that's a good thing then.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Happy to see you collaborating, guys. Okay, and final thing that I would like to show, it's actually probably the most important change one of the most important changes at least that were done since the last week. And it's the pull request that introduced login functionality. The pull request was made by Dmitry Kaplan. However, he's not on the call, so I will present this pull request on behalf of him. So let me share my screen. So we have a Magento admin panel here. I am on the develop branch of Adobe Stock Integration. My integration is configured, and if I go to Adobe Stock Integration grid, just let me edit homepage. Select some image and search Adobe Stock. Open image. Here how expanded view looks on the develop branch, and there is a button license and save. So when you click this button, we expect first to log in admin user to the IMS, to Adobe, IMS is a system for logging into Adobe APIs, and then to perform additional queries for licensing and saving images. So right now we completed the first part, that is login and retrieving access and refresh keys from IMS side. So if I click on license and save, I'll be redirected to IMS, and it happened really quickly. And yeah, authorization was successful. Actually, I was logged in. Yeah, I was logged into Adobe Stock. That's why you haven't seen my login form. But if you are not logged in, you can check. You will have the login and password form where you enter your login and password, and then
let me check my instance. Maybe I can show it.
Okay. And then you are getting.
Is that already merged in develop branch?
Yes, it is. And then you are getting the SS token to your database. Here it is, and refresh token as well. To the Adobe Stock user profile table. And once you have authorized, you no longer need to authorize. Right now we have a bit of placeholder here for add license functionality. So when we click the button, the user is authorized, and there is a placeholder to add further license and download functionality for licensing pictures. Okay, I guess Stas.
Yeah.
Can you show the not logged in user login screen.
Did you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep. When I click on the license and save button, small window will be opened, and yeah, looks like something went wrong with my account.
So you're logged in as well, but you haven't verified your email yet. Looks like this.
I see. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, this pull request opens opportunities to work further into adding the functionality to retrieve user quota and license image and then save it. I believe that we'll be able to reuse save functionality that Alex is right now working on for saving licensed image as well. Oh yeah.
Plus you have testurl.com something,
Yeah,
I believe.
I see.
Yeah,
Oh, so
currently
yes, it's my.
currently we are not sending a redirect URL to the integration, and we are using the redirect URL that user have specified when creating an integration on Adobe Stock site. But there is a task to add dynamic redirect URL, and I think there is even a pull request right now with the resolution to this task, but there are some changes that were requested on this pull request. Yeah, we'll have dynamic redirect URLs soon. And we also planning to add some helpful information for admin user on system configuration page, just to generate redirect URL and redirect URL pattern dynamically and show on system configuration for admin to copy and create integration on Adobe Stock site much more easily.
Yeah, it would be really better to provide dynamically redirect URL instead of static URL in the integration config. So yeah, by the way, we already have a Magento Cloud instance with the latest Adobe Stock Integration project deployed, and we are going to update this instance every time before the demo. So we can just demo, upcoming things on this environment, on this instance. You don't need to configure something locally. You can just use the URL and show us your tasks. So yeah, I will share this URL in the chat after the meeting, and I want to share my small experience with Magento. After the vacation, I have a lot of power and motivation, and I decided to review the code that was merged last 2 weeks, and I found several lines of code that should resolve one problem when admin session has expired and you try and to do something with Adobe Stock and you got an error in the console, and that's it, without any redirect or meaningful message on the interface. And I think that Magento should have something out of the box to handle such situations, such cases, and I tried to investigate how it works. And I realized that we already have a functionality to handle such cases, and our code already working as expected, but we still have an error in the console without any redirect. I had a few hours of debug, and I realized that we have denied JSON controller that will return response that your Ajax was expired and URL for redirect. And I tried to find the place on the front end when it was redirected the appropriate URL. I found the method on our Bootstrap.js, complete method that will be called after every Ajax request in Magento. And if this method finds corresponding keys, it will redirect to the specified URL. And the issue was just an error in our code that variable rows was undefined and we cannot get length of undefined. And this method just didn't call after that. So with this small fix, we support native Magento functionality instead of adding something new. So sometimes it will be really useful to deep dive to the Magento code because we have a really complex project that is with support of different cases. So sometimes it can be really easy to fix something instead of developing something new. That's it.
Thank you, Stas. That's a really nice optimization. Okay, I think that's probably it for the demo part, at least for today. Does anybody wants to show anything else or raise any questions or anything? If not, then I will be happy to chat with you in Slack. Please, if you will have any ideas, any questions, propositions, do contact me or Stas or Raul. There are still lots of tasks for MFTF coverage on our dashboard, and as Vladimir said, he can help to start at least if you don't know how to start writing tests. So let's keep it moving. Thanks, guys. Thank you all for a great job, and talk to you next week. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.